ESPN to LeBron James is what CNN was to Joe Biden or Fox News is to Donald Trump. That's the best way to describe ESPN. That is the best way. The entire thing is skewed towards that person. That's why I take most of what ESPN says with a grain of salt, right? So they did a panel today with Monica McNutt, Mike Greenberg, Jay Williams, Brian Windhorst. And they were reacting to some comments that Charles Barkley made, which was LeBron is over, and we're going to play that in a second. And in typical ESPN fashion, they started defending LeBron.
Is ESPN protecting LeBron James? Or are they simply giving credit where it's due? That's the debate taking over the NBA world after Charles Barkley reignited one of the biggest arguments of LeBron's career. Barkley didn't hold back. He claimed LeBron has spent his entire career stacking the deck in his favor. And now, with another championship-caliber roster around him, the criticism hasn't changed. ESPN immediately pushed back. Their analysts defended LeBron, praised player empowerment, and argued that chasing the best chance to win shouldn't be viewed as a negative. But here's the real question. Is Barkley exposing an uncomfortable truth? Or is this simply another chapter in the never-ending LeBron versus Michael Jordan debate? Let's break it all down.
Number one knock on LeBron for older guys like myself has always been, yo, man, you always stacking your team. He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland. He stacked it in LA. Now he's stacking it in Philly. So that, to me, I'm going to still have the same criticism I've always had. He's always stacked his team.
All right, Monica McNutt, Brian Windhorst, and Jay Will, I'll start with you. Is that fair?
And I love Uncle Chuck. The biggest flaw in this argument for me is that, people treat player agency as if it's less legitimate than front office agency.
Charles Barkley's argument wasn't complicated. He believes the biggest criticism of LeBron has always been the same. Whenever LeBron changes teams, he puts himself in situations where the roster is already capable of winning championships. According to Barkley, that pattern started with the Miami Heat. LeBron joined forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Years later, he returned to Cleveland alongside Kyrie Irving before Kevin Love arrived. Then came Los Angeles, where Anthony Davis became his co-star. And now, Barkley says, LeBron has once again positioned himself on a roster loaded with talent. To Barkley, that's not just smart basketball.
So when Red Auerbach finds a way to stack a team, he's exceptional. He's a genius. When Brad Stevens does it, he's a visionary. When Jerry West does it, he's such an incredible leader. But somehow when a player kind of takes in his own agency to do that for himself, then it becomes a character flaw. And I think that's the flaw overall in the argument. Like, this is a different time and an age where players feel as if they're bigger than the franchise. It's the way people follow the game. And I think LeBron James is one of the rare few that, because of his agency and because of the power that comes along with being LeBron James, that he can pick and choose and kind of skew the rails in the direction he wants. And I don't think that's a character flaw. I think it's just the genius of LeBron being a GM and being the player that actually demands that type of control.
He believes it changes how fans judge greatness. His point is simple. The greatest competitors don't always look for the easiest path. They embrace difficult situations. That's the foundation of Barkley's criticism. ESPN's panel quickly challenged Barkley's comments. Jay Williams argued that today's NBA is completely different from previous eras. Players now have more control over their careers than ever before. Instead of waiting for front offices to build contenders, superstars now make those decisions themselves. According to Williams, if executives receive praise for building championship teams, why should players be criticized for doing essentially the same thing? His argument focused on player empowerment. Rather than viewing LeBron's influence as a weakness, he called it one of LeBron's greatest strengths.
As a player, he has one of the greatest to ever do it.
Monica.
Jay was so eloquent, and I love that. But basically, this is, okay, you got it, whatever. Like, this is the way that the league goes right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think what LeBron is attempting to do here late, and I think in the rest of that conversation, Charles Barkley actually reintroduces his GOAT conversation. What he is attempting to do, and Wendy used this word in our earlier conversation this morning, ridiculous, with all the positive connotations. Like, everything about his career so far to this point has been ridiculous. To come in with all the pressure that we remember 20-some years ago as the number one overall draft pick, and to only exceed, why would the last couple of years not also fall into that category in terms of an opportunity to bring a trophy back to Philadelphia?
In today's NBA, elite players aren't just athletes. They're decision makers. They're business partners. They're franchise builders. and LeBron has mastered that better than almost anyone. Monica McNutt took an even simpler approach. She argued that this is simply how today's NBA operates. Superstars recruit each other. Stars change teams. Organizations constantly reshape their rosters. Nothing about that is unusual anymore. From her perspective, criticizing LeBron for adapting to the modern NBA doesn't make much sense. Instead, she believes fans should appreciate the fact that a player entering his 40s is still competing for championships instead of settling for mediocrity. Whether you agree or not, it's a viewpoint many modern NBA fans share.
Wendy, I'm fascinated to hear your perspective on it. This dates back, obviously, to the original decision when he took his talents to South Beach and all the things that have happened since. Does Charles Barkley have a point?
Well, Charles very clearly was speaking as a Hall of Famer, top 75 player. He's talking about what his and his peers' viewpoints are. I can't speak to that. That's what Charles is saying he views it as. I would just say, absolutely, the team in Miami was stacked. And absolutely, he, Bosh, and Wade came together to stack it. The following free agencies, I'm not sure that's true. He came to Cleveland. They hadn't made the playoffs in 4 years.
Brian Windhorst acknowledged one important point. Yes, Miami was undeniably a super team. Nobody disputes that. LeBron, Wade, and Bosh joining together changed the league forever. But after Miami, Windhorst believes the situations became much more complicated. When LeBron returned to Cleveland, that franchise had struggled badly before his arrival. Kevin Love had never experienced playoff success. In Los Angeles, the Lakers had missed the playoffs for years before LeBron arrived. Anthony Davis wasn't already leading a championship team. Windhorst argues those situations weren't simply plug-and-play super teams. LeBron still had to elevate those teams. He still had to perform at an elite level. That's an important distinction. Of course, every LeBron debate eventually leads to Michael Jordan. And this conversation was no different. Critics argue Jordan never searched for easier championship paths. He stayed with one franchise. He trusted the Bulls organization.
They did the Love trade. Kevin Love had no history of any success in the playoffs. If you want to call that a stacked team, I guess, but like from stacked says who? Then he goes to Los Angeles. The Lakers had missed the playoffs for 5 years. The team had nothing on it. They missed the playoffs the first year. They had to dump the roster and totally redo it and then get Anthony Davis. In this situation, if he didn't go to Philly, like where did Charles or the Legends want him to go? Did they want him to go to the G League? Because if he went to Cleveland, is that team stacked? Is Miami with Bam Adebayo and Giannis Antetokounmpo, is that team stacked? Jokic and Jamal Murray, is that team stacked? And Edwards, Rudy Gobert? I don't know. He left Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. Is that not? I don't understand the premise of the of the complaint.
He built championship teams through continuity. Supporters of LeBron see things differently. They point out that today's NBA has far more player movement. Contracts are shorter. Salary cap rules have changed. Player empowerment has completely reshaped the league. Comparing today's NBA directly to the 1990s isn't always fair. Different eras create different decisions. Still, the GOAT debate keeps bringing these two legends back into the same conversation. Here's where the debate becomes interesting. Should we criticize a player for maximizing his chance to win? Think about it. Every front office tries to build the strongest roster possible. General managers trade draft picks, sign free agents, make blockbuster deals. Nobody criticizes executives for wanting better teammates.
Jaylen Brown, even if they wanted to, he's a finals MVP. So from a basketball standpoint, you're going to look pretty stupid calling him out, and he's probably their best player. And you guys are the ones talking about LeBron's going to unlock the success and unlock your potential. I don't know what he's unlocking in Jaylen Brown. He already won a title. So go unlock those dudes over there. Leave me alone, bro. I'm already unlocked. I'm already unleashed. Go unlock them. Here's the key to the padlock and unlock them. I'm good. That'll be me. I'm good over here. We good over here, daddy. Go over there. That's what they're doing.
So should players be judged differently? That's exactly the question ESPN raised. Meanwhile, Barkley believes greatness is measured differently. He argues true legends don't need perfect situations. That's why opinions remain divided. Another reason this debate matters. Expectations. If LeBron wins another championship, supporters will call it one of the greatest accomplishments ever by a player in his 40s. They'll point to his longevity, his conditioning, his basketball IQ, his leadership. But critics will say something else. They'll argue he won with another loaded roster, that the circumstances favored him again. No matter what happens, the debate won't disappear. Now flip the situation. If LeBron falls short, some fans will point to his age. Others will point to injuries. Others will say basketball is a team game. But critics like Barkley will likely argue that if you're choosing your destination based on championship opportunities, then expectations become much higher. That's the risk of joining talented teams. Success brings enormous praise. Failure brings enormous criticism. It's a double-edged sword. The reason conversations like this continue isn't just because of basketball. It's because LeBron represents different things to different fans. To supporters, he's the greatest all-around player ever. He's adapted across multiple eras. He's remained elite for over 2 decades. To critics, he's an incredible player who has consistently looked for favorable situations throughout his career. Neither side is likely to change its opinion. Every championship, every playoff loss, every roster move simply becomes more evidence for whichever side fans already believe. Whether you agree with Charles Barkley or ESPN, one thing is impossible to deny. LeBron James remains the biggest conversation in basketball. Very few athletes can create headlines simply by changing teams or chasing another championship. At this stage of his career, every move becomes part of his legacy. Every playoff game fuels the GOAT debate. Every championship opportunity adds another chapter to one of the most discussed careers in NBA history. So now the pressure shifts to the court. Can LeBron deliver another title? Or will Barkley's criticism grow even louder if things don't go according to plan? Only the season will answer that question. Until then, the debate continues. What do you think? Is Charles Barkley right that LeBron has consistently stacked the deck in his favor? Or is ESPN correct that player empowerment is simply part of today's NBA? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest NBA news, debates, and analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.